Hello and welcome to the Thursday show on the Frontline Gaming Network. My name is Paul Murphy, your host, and I'm joined by Dustin Henshaw
Hello, everybody.
and Adam Camilleri.
Howdy.
Hey, everybody, this is the Thursday show, as you might have known from the name, where we run down the biggest and brightest tournaments coming up over the weekend. We're going to be telling you what you're going to see there, what you can expect to take to beat there, what are going to be the list to beat there. This week, we're going to be talking about a mega tournament, a super duper stellar, stupendous, serendipitous, stupefying, superligious, califrastic, expialidocious,
Oh,
680 person team tournament in Spain. I was going to say something in Spanish, but I just remembered I don't know any Spanish. But yeah, welcome to the show if you're listening. So we're going to be talking about big numbers. I said 680 people. What is that? Almost 90 teams for this.
Yeah, eight person team. So they've gone full WTC hog, as in like you and your 8 people who you can get to play together. Essentially, from what I can tell from reading down through some of the lists and what I've talked to from the TOs and some of the notable players and personalities, this is essentially all Spanish attendees, as in they have 688 people that broke down into 86 eight people teams in Spain. I am so jealous of that. I am so phenomenally jealous.
They have such a thriving scene over there. I don't know if you remember when we did the coverage for the Nopen, Las Vegas Nopen. We had Deep Games running a Spanish stream partnered with us on that, and just crazy support, just a great community. So I think it's going to be fun to dive deep and see what they've got and brought to this thing. Team tournaments are always very interesting. A team tournament brings out a dynamic of sometimes you don't see necessarily what people play normally. Some of these teams, some of these players are going to be playing what they need to play to be their best team member that they can and support for their whatever position they're playing on the team. And we'll be talking a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a really interesting discussion to be had about the different sizes of teams as well, which we might get to at the end. But I think it's been accepted that when you go to 8-person teams, that's when the pairings really start to matter. Your team makeup really, like, you can't just have all the good stuff. You have to take some not great lists and somehow give them a purpose, give them a reason to be there.
Yeah, you got to take some blockers, you got to take some attackers, you got to take some bricks or some blades, depending on what vernacular you're using. Hey, but before we get too deep in this is a live show. If you're watching live, please jump in the comments wherever you are. I think we're on Facebook under the Warhammer 40,000 community, Warhammer competitive 40K. We are on the Frontline Gaming Network. We're on Twitch. We're on YouTube. So wherever you guys, hopefully we'll be keeping an eye on those comments and jumping in there. If you happen to be going to this tournament, I know it's super late where you are right now, but love to hear you sound off if we happen to get to your list or your faction. That'd be great. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Leave comments, 5-star reviews. Let's jump into this coverage.
Okay, well, first up, we actually have a quote from one of the gentlemen in attendance. So, first of all, 688 players, 8-person team, 7 rounds, as is what is required to get an undefeated team. WTC format, a majority of the WTC format using the FAQ and using most of the terrain system, but not using the terrain layouts, because the WTC has some very specific ways to place terrain. They're not doing that. They're doing kind of their own style. But here's a quote from Antonio of Deep Game Spain, who's been a regular attendee. And for those who don't know, this is the GT Talavera in El Regreso, Toledo, Spain. El Cobrador del War has been organizing GT Talavera for 11 years. Delivering the most wholesome event in the Spanish panorama since 5th edition. Each year, they strive to become better and accommodate more players, refusing to lower their quality. This improvement made them become the biggest team tournament in the world, with 688 participants this year during 3 whole days of what they call the New Year's Eve of 40K. Goes on to further say, the location in Talavera is no coincidence, placing the tournaments in a central place to Spain so everybody can attend by car, train, or plane with no need to juggle. They have become a close friend of each club or group in Spain as a result of making everyone feel at home in this tournament. And it is well known secret that half the year, almost every tournament in Spain serves as a practice ground for Talavera. The other half of the year, everyone is copying Talavera's rules pack because they forge the Spanish meta.
I love this.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, no, the thing
Mm.
about what you said is that the whole Ion community, Ion, bringing things together, adding this connective tissue between tournaments. I love that when people are planning to this, they know this is a stepping stone type, or not
Mm-hmm.
stepping stone, but all connected. On their crescendo, like what we
Yeah,
call the Super Bowl, the World Series, or whatever
exactly.
of tournaments, and this is what we're about to start talking about here, happening
It's
in
a
Spain.
it's a destination event with a history, series of legends made about it, some mythos, yeah, it's phenomenal. I love it so much, and
I wish we had
exactly
that
why.
here.
Well, yeah, well, that's what I hope I'm assuming the ATC is the closest thing America has,
ATC for
and
team tournaments, yeah, ATC like this,
Yeah.
Adepticon team tournaments, the LVO, those are all big crown jewels or whatever, and
Mhm.
destinations event for folks, especially like with Las Vegas being almost the crowns the ITC winner for people that get close,
exactly. Well,
that kind of
this
thing.
True.
sounds like this is almost the Spanish team championships, as in that everybody in Spain wants to go to this, wants to compete at this, and builds up to it every year. It sounds absolutely magnificent.
Yeah,
And we're going since fifth edition. That's some longevity, man.
yeah, this may be a topic for later on in the show, whatever. But like community circuits, things,
Mm,
tournament series that all get linked. It builds hype for people. People get excited about it.
absolutely.
So
Yep.
if you're, we're talking. I know we've just discussed some giant ones. You can do this even in smaller communities. But that's
Mm,
where this all started. Is what you just story you just told. Is it started and then became this big thing because they put on quality things, quality events. Is what it sounds like. So
exactly
that's
right.
really nice.
Jumping into our quick and dirty stats. So, seeing as this is a WTC event, we've got 86 teams, as in each faction can be taken a maximum of 86 times. So when you look at these numbers, you don't see any of them are like over
And
100. That
some are
is why,
close.
because yeah,
Some are
some are up
close.
there, some are very up there. All right, we got for the Imperium Super faction, 3 mixed Imperium, as in 3 soup, and I've looked at some of those. Most of those are guard based. 54 Sisters, 27 Custodes, 43 Admech, 28 Guard, 41 Grey Knights, 10 Imperial Knights, totaling 206 players, bringing an Imperium Superfaction list. That's some mighty big numbers. What do you think, gents?
Well, before we get that, I'm gonna say that we actually got some folks giving a shout out from Spain. Got Jose de Leon saying he's going to tomorrow to Talavera, and Anita
Beautiful.
Fantastic.
Muslin from Spain. Hello.
Man,
Hello, gentlemen.
beautiful. Welcome. Hopefully you're having a phenomenal event. Dustin, what do you make of this breakdown so far?
It makes a lot of sense to me. I actually think the sisters being high up there makes a lot of sense.
Mm,
Being higher than Admech is a little bit surprising. I feel like Admech
yeah.
is actually a very, very strong team list. Grey Knights is also doesn't surprise me. 28 Astra Militarum. See, there's actually a lot of those in team
Mm,
events too, because people don't realize that in a team event when you can actually figure out who you can, or at least control who you're going up against a little bit. Those basilisks and manticores and hydralisks they can be
mm.
devastating to a lot of us. If you pair them with
Well,
the right thing, they'll just wreck them.
for those who don't know, we should have maybe said this before. A lot
Sure.
of people were familiar with conventionally scoring events, as in if you get more points than your opponent, you win the game, and you get the W next to your name, and that being the thing that is most important to accomplish. Whereas in an 8-person team event, you get paired on especially the WTC format, you get paired on a scaling bracket of how many points difference there were between the two players, the two combatants. Then you get put into a scoring rubric, and you get a 0 to 20 score, like a 19 to 1. It's some fraction of 0, 1 way, so 20 one way or another. And so Astra Militarum all of a sudden become a really strong player in this kind of thing, because if you can control their matchups, because I mean, Paul probably can speak to this as well as anybody, with our good friend Red Pow. Guard isn't a list that can go 6-0 in an event, yeah. 4-1, 3-2, 3-3, very, very, very capable. But if you can just dodge those things that will just give them those always give them those 1 or 2 losses every event, all of a sudden they just get you some points on the board.
Yeah,
For
there's certain
sure.
things that Guard is very good against, and if you can help manipulate those
Mm,
matchups by by baiting out some things, it's like some of the things Guard struggles against things that are great in the game right now. So
mm,
they might not want to but the things that are great at the game, they want to focus on other things that are great at the game right now.
yeah,
So they don't want to necessarily waste it on a Guard list.
Yeah,
exactly,
You
which
know,
makes sense
exactly,
too.
yeah.
We can see it too here. There's actually 3 Imperium. I can make a prediction right now that all 3 of those are half guard.
Half guard, a lot of them are guard and custodies. A lot of
Custodians,
most of
that was the mix.
yeah, yeah, quite a few are guard. Sorry, are custodies and Militarum Tempestus actually. There's 2 or 3 of those.
Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
Jumping down to Space Marine Super Faction, 4 mixed Astartes, so 4, Astartes unlisted, 31 Dark Angels, 20 Space Wolves, 23 Blood Angels, 19 Ultras, 10 Iron Hands, 8 Salamanders, 12 Death Watch, 1 Black Templars, 5 Imperial Fist, 3 Raven Guard. What do you make of these, gents?
Go ahead, Paul.
Well, so I guess the Raven Guard with only 3 of them. What are they trying to do? What are they trying to accomplish right there?
Mm.
One Black Templar, I think, is probably. I mean, I think that's a little bit of a mistake. But I guess we don't know what if they're using the newest
True.
book or not. Probably not.
They're not. They won't.
Which is okay.
Yeah.
That explains it. But I'm not surprised to see 23 Blood Angels there.
Oh, of course not. No.
Well, if we do the usual thing we do, where we split in the seas of the defensive and aggressive Marine builds, we got 31 Dark Angels coupled with 10 Iron Hands, I'd say 8 Salamanders plus the Imperial Fist. Probably we're getting only about a third of those lists being your traditional defensive Marines, whereas the rest are pretty much overwhelmingly aggressive. Most of the Ultramarines I've looked at a couple are definitely the Alpha Strike variant.
I was going to ask, it's like I would bet they're mostly the Dreadnought configurations.
They absolutely are. The vast majority are the Alpha Strike variant. The same can be said for, of course, the Blood Angels are always aggressive, Space was always aggressive, White Scars always aggressive, and the Death Watch are kind of the twins, but I had to look at them as well, and a lot of them are the Dreadnought build. They're the triple Redemptor, double Contemptor build. So they're also kind of that Alpha Strikey build. So predominantly, I'm seeing aggressive Marines here.
Yeah, for the most part. Aside from like the Dark Angels, they're all basically aggressive, I think. The Raven Guard, pure Raven Guard kind of surprises me. I feel like the mix is Raven Guard and Ultramarines, because then you can have kind of a mix of the redeploy with some of the
infiltrating.
The infiltrating stuff, yeah. So it just makes a really aggressive list. If they go first, they will crush a lot of lists. Well, that's just one of the bags you got to take when you go to a team event, right?
Exactly right. Moving down to the Chaos Super faction, 7 Chaos Soup, 5 Chaos Space Marines, 44 T-Suns, 69 Death Guard. Gents, what do we say?
Nice.
There's a lot of things demons, I want to say to that.
13 demons and 2 Renegade Knights. I got to tell you right now, Death Guard sits number 1 on the faction podium for most represented factions. Why would you think that is, gents?
You can't shift them sometimes. Like you really just cannot shift them. Well,
it's a beautiful defender list.
They have a lot of things going for them. Lower model count, easy to put together. So, like, we need a defender list. No, we don't have one, or we don't have enough. Okay, somebody quickly assemble 25 Death Guard models.
Yeah, exactly right. Spot on, Paul. They are possibly the best, most consistent defender list in the game. You can build it a myriad of different ways around a central core of probably like, PBCs and your Terminator configuration, and then just take whatever you want else. And it's pretty likely you're never going to give up a donut. Unless somebody feeds you to the wolves, like, you're just going to get points.
It'd be a more interesting stat to see how few Mortarions are in that 69 Death Guard.
I looked at quite a few, and there are very few Mortarions. I think there's one that I
would I'd bet that some percentage of those are just diehard, they're actual Death Guard players all the time.
Yeah. Well, like I said, there is one, and we got one in the review to come from one of the notable teams in attendance. So I only found one, and one it's been taken by one of the guys of note. Yeah,
what I would suspect. 1,000 Suns though, with 44,000 Sun players, I'm curious how they've gone. Like, have they broken away from just that Dreadnoughts are pretty good, so let me take a bunch, or are they heavy on the Psyker build?
Well, it's interesting to say that I think if I looked at, we'll get to it, but I looked at about 20 different teams' lists just to get a bit of a sense of the meta, and the vast majority, I'd say, were defensive builds. They are either a minimum of 20, just about all of them, a minimum of 10 Scarab Occults. Some people packing the 20, some people packing 15. Usually spawn 1 or 2 Contemptors, and then actually MSUing out a bunch of 5-man rubrics in a lot of different lists. So I feel like it's more of a defensive list, but it's more of like a methodical Marine build, like a really well stacked bit of everything. But the thing is, they can take an all-comers list and be defensive and aggressive. They're a bit of a tweener like that, which I think is really exciting.
That may be the actual optimal build for the 1,000 Suns. I just don't think it is. I think we really need to see more, enlightened scooting around out there, more brain bug, psychers burning folks down with the, well, we'll see. We'll see.
Exactly.
Yeah. I actually like the heavy Rhino build with 1,000 Suns. I think that's actually a good way to play them.
I think so too, and a Marine in a teams build as well. That could be really well pivoted.
Yeah.
Is Dodge the Sisters build that has the Retributors? Oh, look, you were T-Suns. You wanted to dodge it anyway, so much the better.
That's an interesting point.
One of the things I wanted to point out, there's a total of 12 knights. There's 12 knight armies in the whole thing. Between the Renegades and the Imperium, there's only 12 out of 86 possibles between two factions. Actually, sorry, double that. Out of 164 possibles, there's only 12 knight players. That's a bit of an indictment, I think, because usually in an 8-man teams, I like having a knight player or like a triple Baneblades or something big and stupid that you can just put up and terrify your opponent with. Like, hang over their head, be like, you better save something at the end of
one of those. killer list
Yeah,
to
exactly.
deal with this
Yeah.
in some capacity.
You're
And when
gonna,
I
you're
say
gonna
that
risk.
waste, so I guess let me
Mm,
clarify that for the folks that maybe not aware of how the pairings go. So you put out list, and then your opponents get to match a couple of things in it. They get to choose what they put out, so you fight different things or whatever.
mm.
So there's some option for you to choose who your matchup is sometimes.
Yes, and if you waste all your big hitters getting greens at the end, you got nothing to deal with the knights that are coming in the bottom of the pairings, or the knights go up first, and you risk putting your Admech flyers into them, and they got a Castellan, and they just take the light table. Oh yeah, cool, 50-50, go first. I went first. Bang, 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 3 dead flyers. Maybe I win this thing that should have gone and got you a 20 somewhere else, and all of a sudden you're opening yourself up to risk.
Yeah.
Jumping down to the rest here,
But do you
Xeno
think
Super
terrain?
Faction.
Before we go, do you think terrain played into this? Like you mentioned the way
I
that they
think
were
so.
doing
It
the
has to.
terrain setup.
It has to.
So where they think, oh, I don't want to get boxed in
Mm.
to where I can't move out of my deployment zone or whatever.
Yeah, I've seen some of the example tables that they've set for their templates, and they're not super dense, but they're very well spread out. And I could see it being a problem for knights, especially say so they're using a conventional WTC. Well, they're not using the templates, using a conventional. You have 2 light tables, 2 heavy, 4 mediums. And so, but the mediums and the heavies are all pretty bad for knights. They're all pretty bad. The knights have to get one that hit one of the 2 lights if they want to have a consistently good game into like anybody. Otherwise, they're just kind of going to get somewhat screwed in either other matchup, which I think it's pretty much what you guys said.
Mhm.
Xeno Super Faction, 49 Necrons, 36 Orcs, and 18 Tau. So that is way more Tau than I thought, and actually less Orcs than I thought.
18 Tower beating knights. But
I know.
I guess they can shoot. I guess, and let's not forget that Tau did do well in a couple of tournaments this year. So
They
there
can
is.
be a real. They
Yeah.
can be a real problem in some matchups.
Yeah,
can just-
I'm willing to bet that this is a meta play in Spain. Like I feel like they know some of the lists are going to be going there from their meta, and the Tau just does well against them.
Exactly. That's my thought as well. 18 Tau, you can't be a mistake.
There's no way that's just 18 random guys. I feel like taking Tau.
Yeah, so that's for my mind. That's there's either 2 things going on here. That's either people who are die-hard Tau players, who are Tau specialists, or there's people who are like are really confident with their pairings and can think they can make sure Tau stay away from Drakari, stay away from Admech, stay away from XYZ.
Well,
Probably stay away from the Ultramarines as well. To be honest.
Is still only like 3% of the players.
It's not. That's true. That's
not a lot.
But it means 18 teams thought Tau was the right choice.
It's
for one of them.
18 out of 86 thought Tau was good enough to make their 8 player list.
Yeah.
What do you make of the Orcs though? Because that's about 10 less Orcs than I would have assumed.
It's actually really surprising, but I will say this too. I've seen a lot of Orcs come in, obviously, in the meta right now. They're doing really well. I'm not so sure how they pair in team events because I've done a lot of team practicing events, and the Orcs, like when I first started bringing them, I thought they were a bully, but I don't think they are anymore. I think they're almost less like everybody's ready to fight them anyway. So it's kind of like they're still good. They're ridiculously good.
2019 WTC, I can tell you in the prep for that, we were like, okay, either we take Eldar flyers or we take 3 lists that can deal with Eldar flyers. And that's, I feel like, is what the buggies are doing.
Exactly.
You either take them yourself or you pivot to crush them if they try and bully you with them.
Yeah, well, it could also be just a simple stock issue. Like if we know that we all need 6 Orc flyers, we all need this many buggies, that there might have been just 38 lists worth of that available in Spain.
That's actually a really good point. There's only so many buggies for a single nation.
Kill rigs just came out, so it's it could be one of the situations. Dustin, you're on both sides of the coin here in chat. I'll read the cool thing first, and then I'll flip it over to the tails. Dustin, is there a place they can reach out to you? They're in Mexico, not a lot happening, and would like to get some Tyranid ideas from you.
Absolutely. You can check out anything Stud or Scrub. We're on YouTube. We do battle reports, live games every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I have a podcast that we release bi-weekly right now. Usually releases on Tuesday. We talk all about, mostly I'm Tyranids GSC, and I will be doing some tactical videos for the Octaria stuff coming up soon too. So by all means, check it out and shoot me up on Facebook. I'm happy to talk Tyranids GSC all you want.
Tomodachi Express echoes our statement. There isn't maybe a lot of buggies to go around.
Yeah.
And then here's the other side of that coin is that Deus Knight says, There are 18 more Tau than Gene Stealer cults.
All right, perfect segue. Hive Mind Super Faction. 1 mixed Hive Mind, 21 nits, which is actually damn respectable. 0 GSC. And
I'm going to say it right now.
this is the thing we saw with.
It's because we're lying in wait, gentlemen. We're lying in wait.
Mm-hmm.
Several of those.
Well, I actually wanted to ask
Thousand Suns list are actually Gene Stealer cults. They're just blurs.
So one thing I didn't ask the gentleman, the Spanish gentleman I was talking to get some info about this. I didn't ask him if Octarius was in play because that could make sense. All the GSC players are just like, well, we're just taking Leviathan now, aren't we? It'd be the same as when all the Chaos Space Marine players got diluted into either T-Suns or Death Guard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they all got split up and be like, well, this is just a better version of what I was playing. If I was playing Chaos Space Marines, and I was playing, Word Bearers and Possessed, well, I guess I just play, Death Guard or T-Suns. It could very well be if Octarius is in play, and I don't know for a fact, so maybe someone will correct me, that all the GSC players were like, well, we need a reliable Tyranid, like a Hive Mind build. I guess it's Hive Guard and Leviathan now, because that would be a really good teams list.
Yeah, no, the Leviathan is ridiculously good in the teams list right now. Like and it makes me very sad too. It makes me very sad because I am going to a team event very soon, and I had my list all ready to go, and then I realized that Octarius was going to be allowed for. I was like, I guess I'm pure Leviathan now.
Going Leviathan.
Yeah.
Get that purple paint happening.
All right, but into our last super faction. This is Eldari. 14 mixed Eldari, 48 Drukhari, 16 Harlequins, and 4 Craftwood or Asirani. Now that's an interesting breakdown, gents. What do you make of it?
This seems weird. Obviously with the 48 Drukhari, that is, I think that's a given. It probably should be higher. I would imagine that some of the people playing Drukhari have shifted over to orcs.
It might actually be the same kind of thing as it works, because people are bringing 3 lists to be able to fight Drukhari because they just know everybody's going to be bringing Drukhari. So a lot of people, like every team bringing it, wouldn't make all that sense, I guess. Like because a lot of teams are kind of planning against it rather than playing with it.
But
or maybe there's a player that has it.
If I had to have one assumption going into this, being like, Adam, what does every team probably bring? I would have been Drukhari. I'm like, Drukhari in an 8-player team. Drukhari is just, I feel like, always going to be value. Even they never get crushed. They never get absolutely dominated, except by buggies, which you just dodge. So not a big deal. But I would have been like, wouldn't have been surprised if we saw 60, 65, hell, 70 Drukhari armies in representation. But now we got 48. I would like to know. I looked through a bunch of stuff. The vast majority of teams that are taking a Drukhari are also taking either a mixed Eldari or a Harlequins in addition. They're double teaming them. So if you have the triple bang answer to the Drukhari, well, the Harlequins just get to do what the Drukhari are going to do, or the mixed Eldari just get to do what the Drukhari is going to do. So it's actually a nice little double entendre there. I like it.
I was looking at it this way. So look at these numbers, just numbers, and we can dice them up here in a second. 43 Admech, 41 Grey Knights, 36 Orcs, and then 48 Drukhari. Those are all, in my opinion, those have a little bit of parity in themselves. I think that those numbers probably aren't higher, maybe because everyone knows those are going to be on the teams, and so people are trying to take things against them. And if and then there's some of this, calling your shot. Look, if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly. So bring those lists, and then we see these other things. Like, is Tau really the secret weapon against maybe a couple of these factions? Is that why we see more Tau than the others? Have people on certain teams shifted away from taking more of those and going into something like the Tau?
Well, I think the Tau's the Tau's up there with like the Guard. If you build it for a specific purpose in an 8-player team, you can really hunt that purpose out. If you wield them well, you're absolutely right, Paul. You're spot on. People can just find a way and find a reason to make this feel good, make this feel right. And yeah, I think it's a big confidence pick for some people to be like, well, you know what, you were gonna go. And so in this singles environment, that's a 7-rounder. You were playing Tau. If you went 2 and 5, you should be proud of yourself.
That's where you get your double plates or whatever you were talking about last.
Yeah. But in a singles environment, a Tau list could just win 7 games. Paired properly,
you mean team
played properly. Sorry. Built properly, played properly, paired properly. You just win 7 damn games. And all of a sudden you feel like a king.
So
Well, you
that's
have to
why
remember
this,
too, because we have light tables in this, right? If you get the Tau player on a light table, you get Planet Bowling Ball. Everybody's terrified of that.
Right.
Like they still
Exactly right.
shoot really well.
Mate, dude, same thing as with the Knights here. I'll take 3 units of broadsides,
Yeah.
go for the light table, and if I just go first, well, your best list, doesn't matter what it is, I'm going to
Yep.
smash it to bits.
that's why I think we're seeing these 54 sisters. Sisters is higher. They got the utility. So okay, I'm bringing sisters. That's why we see
Spot
the 28 Astra Militarum. I think some of those are preparing for this, which is artificially deflated the numbers. I should say
Yeah.
artificially. It's actually scientifically deflated the numbers on some of these standout factions that we know with higher percentages. That's probably why we see few of
Exactly,
less of
dude.
them.
Spot on. And what you said is absolutely right. The Drukhari players may have been robbed by some of the Orc players, but I also actually think they might have been robbed by some of the Sisters players because it's a similar skill set with a different toolbox that actually has some better pairings into some of Drukhari's worst pairings. E.g., sometimes Grey Knights, Freebooters can be better because you have the Retributors to just be like dead. Cool. Dominions, just kill one as well, just for the lulz, is a dead buggy too. So yeah, I actually think that you're spot on, mate. They're just kind of eating a little bit off each other. So our faction podium for our top, I did the top 5 factions in representation. Death Guard, of course, sitting on 69. Sisters in second with 54 lists. Necrons in third with 49. Drukhari in fourth with 48, and Thousand Suns in fifth with 44. So
I got
not
a question.
huge.
I
There's
got a
only
question
10.
for both y'all.
You go for it.
So, what's the better brick? Death Guard, Necrons, or
Dark Angels?
Dark Angels.
Ooh, I think Dark Angels for my mind, for just the sheer evenness of the score they're going to give you. Like Dark Angels just score like this. Then maybe they don't win, but their score's just freaking steady as all hell.
They're the most consistent for sure.
Yeah. And that's the only reason why, because they got those just broke as hell secondaries. But yeah. I think if you wanted to add the X factor is with the Death Guard, just because they have just some. So Dark Angels will do what they do, and your opponent just stays there. Death Guard do what they do, but they mess with you. They make it terrifying to engage, whereas Dark Angels are like, you can do whatever you want. I'm still going to get a good score, but you can score too.
I think the X factor is the Necrons.
Well, I will tell you, quite a few of those Necron builds are double Catan. I looked at quite a few, and there's plenty of double Catan in there. Yeah. What do you guys think about that?
That's actually a little surprising to me. Like, I feel like Arcing Lot is actually a really good build.
That was the other one I was going to point out. Arcing Lot is prevalent. In fact, I think there's actually. I said Catan. There's quite a few Catan, but I saw almost as many Arcing Lots, and I saw almost as many weird kind of destroyer culty mixed ones as well.
Explain that. Explain the Arcing Lot.
Dustin.
The Arcing Lot is basically you're building your entire list because they all have transhuman built into them because they're tough to 6, so they all cannot be wounded on anything but force. They all have a 5-up invuln that can be made into a 4-up for 1 CP. I think it is, like one at a time, obviously. So it's ridiculously durable to have just Ghost Arcs, Doomsday Arcs, Tesseract Arcs. Which Tesseract Arcs have 4-up invuln, by the way. All these durable flying units that with the custom with Dynasty, got it? Custom Dynasty are OBSEC. You don't have any idea how annoying that is when you can't even kill these things. They go wherever they want and just get on the objectives and keep them. And they still put out a lot of damage. Like they the actually have good guns.
I actually really like Annihilation Barges, like for a 1 or 2 of, and the Tesseract Arcs are no joke. They slap. They're really good.
Ridiculous. So like those things can deny points, and if you pair them into something that doesn't deal well with Ghost Arc or like arcs in general, which to be honest, anything that doesn't reroll damage could have a rough time against them.
Well, quite a few of those Arcing lists have got 1 or 2 Ghost Arcs with 10 guys in it, and the 10 guys inside are double OBSEC. So what are you going to do? You're going to kill the OBSEC boat and let the 20 OBSEC guys get out? Or you're going to just leave it alone. You can have those points, son. I'll go somewhere else.
Dorian Michal just pointed that out in the chat. He's like, double OBSEC. You got to deal with
perfect.
it.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. Exactly. It's just going to get you points like so much of the time. But yeah, that's really interesting. So apart from Death Guard, and I think Death Guard is the overwhelming blowout 69 list. That's so of 86 teams, so few players. 27 teams didn't take Death Guard out of 86. If I'm doing my math right. Sisters is well over half. Necron's well over half, and about Thousand Sons Drukhari are about half the teams took one of those. Really excited to see, because I think the Death Guard and the Thousand Suns are a bit of a duality build as well, because they're both kind of brick-like, can spam some mortal wounds, much more consistent out of the T-Suns. I feel like the T-Suns have the better anti-infantry fire, whereas the Death Guard have the better anti-tank. What do you guys think?
I agree with you on that 100%. I think that things like the Plague Burst Crawlers, and hopefully there's some Flesh Mowers in there. Come on, Flesh Mowers.
Dude,
Make it happen.
You're gonna be happy, brother. I
Okay.
broke it down. Yeah. Do we want to go to my little chicken scroll that I do for big team events? Pull up.
Yeah. So so you do what is this? Like you help with the pairings and the matchings?
Yeah, so when I do team events, I usually look at a bunch of the teams, because I just want to get a snapshot of what I usually go through the best teams, the teams that I'm scared of, the players in my meta that I know I'm got to worry about, and I put their teams and their list through a couple of different little exercises. The first of which is deciding whether their list looks like on paper to be an attacker, defender, or I had to actually ask this one. Add this one for the end of 8th edition and now 9th edition, the MISC, as in the tweener, the one that can be an attacker or a defender. And so I put those in. I put every list through. So I'll go through every list and I'll be like, is this list an attacker, a defender, or a bit of both? And then the next one is that list a skewed list or an all-comers list? Is it pushing anything in particular? Like, say the Ultramarines list is a perfect one, or the Old Dread Ultramarine list. That is a skew list. That is a list built for a specific purpose, spamming out something.
All you took were bolters. You go up to somebody who only has strength 4 weapons, strength 5 weapons, or whatever. It's you want that,
Exactly. Or if they're an all-comers list, e.g. a list that you could almost see at a singles event, essentially. And then the third one is that list built on what metric? Is it built on an MSU metric, a durable metric, or a horde metric? I kind of feel like I've got to add another column, because there's a lot of lists that are kind of sitting dead in the middle of all of those things. I'm talking about Grey Knights is the one that gave me the most headaches for this one. I have to actually split between the MSU and the durable one, pretty much based on how many Dreadknights they had. If they had 4 or more Dreadknights, I chucked them in durable. If they had less than that, that means they had a bunch more power armor, so I chucked them in MSU.
But I don't know if Paladins, man.
I don't know if they're either. Well, no one had Paladins, but but I don't know if they're either of those. I feel like they could almost have their own column of just like, I'm a bit of everything. And then a bunch of other lists would probably go in there. Like Paul's favorite MSU-esque but slappy Blood Angels would almost go into that column as well. So it's interesting. As well as like the Skitari vet cohort like Sakaran spam. It's not quite MSU. It's not quite Horde. And it's very definitely not durable. So where does it go? It's kind of its own thing now, because it gets to kind of be everything.
That's why I just try to win a lot of games. I don't do a lot of homework. No, I'm kidding. Well, I want to talk about it, because what you're talking about, everything you just described, and the things you were leading through in that discussion, is that you're front loading a lot of your brain power. So when it comes time to have when you're doing the pairings in these team events, you've got 30 minutes or whatever to pair or something. There's a lot of processing that has to be done, and potential for error right there on the scene. And so if you have this information, you churn this information ahead of time, it shortcuts that for you, so you're not fatiguing yourself there at the moment of decision.
And of course, you as a part of your team have a good understanding of what you've brought, so you can use the information to leverage different parts of the matchup. Oh, they don't have very many skewed lists; they're mostly all comers. So look at which of their all comers lists they have, and then which one of our skew lists just get absolute potency here. So literally in the pairings, we have to wait for their counter skew list to be out of the pairings, and then all of a sudden our one just gets a clean sweep into everything that they've got. Stuff of that notion. Seeing how many attackers and defenders they have, because as soon as you do that, if they've only got a couple of defenders, if you win the roll to go first, it's only going to be one of a couple of things that they're going to throw up to feed to you, round one. These are the kind of insights you can glean through stuff like this. Do you want to bring it up for people, and we'll run through some of the bits and pieces? I will note that, time is a factor here, and this does take some time. I think I did 15 teams I managed to do the breakdowns for, at random as well.
We're going to bring it up on the screen so you can see some of this.
Just see this
big brain activity.
Big brain activity.
Yeah.
This is what's going on in his brain.
Wrong scene.
Oh, that is way too clean to be Adam's brain.
That is far too clean. That's my team's breakdown. That's the next scene.
So okay,
I put the photo up in the thing for you.
Yeah, just hold it up close to the camera. We'll
there we go.
There
we go. Perfect.
There we go.
You see what the high quality graphics we're waiting. So if you're listening to us after the fact, we do a live show, as I mentioned, and we're actually on camera right now doing some of this stuff. And so Adam is holding up a piece of paper where he has a bunch of hash marks. I'm gonna try to describe it. Gonna ASMR it or whatever. There's a bunch of hash
chicken
marks
scratch.
where
It's chicken scratch.
He has described that there's this team, that team list. So in the perfect world, where we're talking about this, where you're trying to circumvent processing power on the moment of, is that you list all the team names down the side, and then you list what their categories of their list that they fall in, which is what he's done at this point right here, which you see on the screen.
He's doing it White style too.
When you already know based on this what armies of your team match up well against this, so then when they go out, say they put out something, you already know in your mind what has the best chance that you have assumed, and so that's what you put out. You don't even have to think about it. So you've now given yourself a little bit of an advantage going into this round.
Well, so if you guys like, I'll just throw out some things that I think are trends from the 15 teams that I managed to do. Very few Horde. Horde has seemed to be not a thing that people are taking much of. If anything, people are taking a minimum of 3. In fact, nobody's taken less than 3 durability-based lists. Everyone has taken 3 or more, and some have taken even 6 or 7 durability-based lists.
That's strong. That is, I think that is probably what's going to win the day.
He's doing. Our man Richard's trying to do it on the fly.
There you go.
So most teams only have 1 Horde. The average is 1 Horde across these 15 teams. And some have 0. Like there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 teams that have 0 Horde matchups. 0 Horde based lists. And most of those Horde, there's I think there's 1 or 2 that were Tyranids. The vast majority are either Death Guard or Necrons.
In the Horde category?
Yeah, in the Horde category.
Okay, so Poxwalkers are just the iron, the Silver Tide or whatever.
Hey, you know why? It's because there's so much Tau.
Yeah, spot on. Spot on. Look at this lovely, top shelf data right here. This is why you come to the show, guys, to get the goods.
This is like a bowling score sheet.
So just to break it down at home, every line you see represented here is a different team in attendance. And going from the left to the right, you see attacker, defender, misc. Then you see the skewed and the adversity all comers and the MSU durability or horde base.
I like how you've altered the approach. So you did used to be, it's just all comers, horde, bricks, or whatever.
Expanded his brain.
Yeah. I'm learning. Deeper. I'm evolving.
He's evolving.
The misc category has gotten interesting as well. So the misc category, the last time we did this, was pretty much exclusively reserved for Sisters and Drakari. But I'm starting to say there are some Grey Knight lists that I think made it into that as well as way more Sisters lists. Way more Sisters lists are more balanced, very well kind of spread. They've got a very good spread of offensive, defensive, and MSU abilities in there. And also, there was one other faction that was making it in. There's actually a couple of Orc builds that made it in. There were non-freebooter Orc builds that I couldn't quite pick what they were. And so I chucked them in the misc pile. So there's a couple of the 3s in the misc. But the vast majority of those are Drakari. Pretty much all those down there, bang, bang, bang. At least one of those is Drakari in the misc column. What do you guys see here? Anything in particular?
I see somebody's winning by 6 and somebody... owes somebody $7.
All right, fine. I will cease watering down this content with my hard work.
No, again, this is what you start looking at. You're looking for trends. So you know what you one, maybe you missed the mark this time because lists are already submitted, but you know exactly how to plan for the next time stuff like this comes up.
Exactly right. Jumping down into top players in attendance. Now, I hit up the WTC team captain for Spain, a lovely man named Gabriel, and he gave me the names of a couple of the most notable teams in attendance. The guys who go and the first team we're going to do is the defending champions, the guys who won it, the most recent one, which I think was 2019. I don't think they were able to run it last year. And he also gave me a list of the two of the other teams that always kind of just hit a podium or hit a top 5. And so we're going to run down those for you guys so you can get a sense of what these style of lists are. All right, my man, load that first one up. Let's have a gaze. This first team is, of course, the defending champs. This is Artemis plus Patchy. or Paki. Apologies, my Spanish is not fantastic at the best of times. Hell, none of my linguistics are fantastic. But their lineup sits as thus. The first of those being Death Guard, their inexorable Vanguard and Patrol, and a Supreme Command, because, yeah, baby, Morty, Chaos Lord, 3 Volkite Contemptors, a Tallyman, 2 Bloat Drones with Flesh Mowers, my boy.
There they are.
Man, there it is.
Plague Caster, 1 unit Plague Marines, 1 unit Poxwalkers, 2 Plague Burst, 2 PBCs, and Mortarion. I actually really like this list.
That does seem like a great list, but it seems so. I think Mortarion is one of those to where, yeah, it's like great. You either have the tools to deal with them or you don't, and it's more likely that you can pair up against someone who doesn't have the tools to deal with that. This seems like it's going to be a solid scorer. This is not the durability. This is I'm going to get all the points. You're going to have no models left deck card variant.
Well, it's a hard skew, isn't it? Because everything that's dangerous in this list needs a multi-melter to take care of. Volkite Contemptors, Bloat Drones, 2 PBCs and Morty. 3 Volkite Contemptors. How many anti-tank guns did you bring? Because chances are you're probably not enough. Oh, wait, you've got to use a whole unit of Retributors to try and kill one of these Volkite Contemptors or PBCs. Well, a Flesh Mail just goes straight in and picks them up, You've only got probably 3 of those. I've got like 6 or 7 of these things. And then, on top of that, how do you kill Morty? If you need to, you swing and you miss at Morty and the game's over. Like, you just get shot to pieces.
In the Plague Burst Crawlers, you basically have to start beating on them turn 1 or they don't die.
Yeah. It's also extremely good While We Stand We Fight game because it's got Morty and 2 PBCs for While We Stand We Fights, and you just like, what are you gonna do? Like, if you've killed those 3 things, chances are you tabled them, and there was nothing they could have done anyway.
Yep.
Next one down, we have T-Suns. This is Cult of Duplicity, and Cult of Time, a battalion and a patrol. Ahriman, Exalted Sork, Infernal Master, 2x5 Rubrics, a unit of Zangors, 2 Volkite Contemptors, 10 Scarab Cult Terminators, 2 units of Force Spawn.
Yes!
And then in the and then in the patrol, he's got an Exalted Sorcerer and another unit of Rubrics. This is what I said about the T-Suns list. It's just a good, well-rounded list, right?
This is I love this list. Obviously designed by champions. I love where their head's at.
Well, it just seems like a good, well-balanced list. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see this become like the archetype in singles, because this is very close to, I think, the best stuff altogether.
Well, I was just talking about, the Enlighten or whatever is small units, but the Spawn actually. I mean, I'm more of a fan of Spawn in the Death Guard than I am the Thousand Suns. But that could be misplaced, and maybe the Spawn are the more aggressive equivalent of an Enlightened.
Yeah, I mean, having a 4-up invuln with those spawns is kind of annoying to shift.
Yeah.
They can just be aggressive, tie stuff up, and stand on objectives. They don't care.
And the issue with the Death Guard spawn is they get the durability increase, but they don't get the double move, which is what you get with T-Suns. So just being able to shoot those bastards over there, declare a charge, just be annoying, I think is really, really nice.
Yeah, no, I think they absolutely replace what I was thinking about with Enlightens, and that's probably the best choice.
Next list down, we have the Grey Knights, Prescient Brethren, Outrider, Sword Bearers, Patrol, Techie, Grandmaster, Dread Knight, 25 Interceptors in a 10-10-5. Another Dread Knight, a Rhino, and the next attachment is a Libby, another Grandmaster Dread Knight, a unit of Strikes, 2 more Dread Knights. Pretty cut and dry. It is just savage, lean, going to punch your face in.
This is the Grey Knight list you expect to see winning.
Yeah.
This is a situation to where the Grey Knight singles tournament list also translates really well into the Grey Knight team list.
That's exactly what I meant about that kind of tweener role, because this is just a really aggressive list. But if you wanted to, you could just chuck this into a bad matchup, and that guy just sits in his deployment zone and be like, "You can't come into no man's land because I'll throw out interceptors and kill you." But if I'll do the same if I do that, so we're going to get like a small drawish something.
I'm not sure what the Tech Marine's doing here. I don't see how he keeps up with the Dread Knights.
Yeah, I do agree with that. It just kind of loses pace. Like you got five Dread Knights, and only one of them can be healed. So I mean, and obviously it's going to be that
come back. You're gonna meet in the middle somewhere when they're done killing everything, and hopefully pick up a couple extra wounds. But
all right, moving on. Sisters, Bloody Rose, Vanguard, Argent Shroud Patrol, Celestine, 2 units of 5 Sacrosanct, Dogmata, 2 units of 8 Repentia, 2 units of 8 Zephyrum, a Rhino, and then a next attachment, you've got a Missionary, Morven Vile, 2 units of 5 Sisters, a Hospitaller, 2 units of 5 Dominions, 2 units of 5 Retributors, and a Battle Sanctum. This is the goods. This is like I have
bring your own terrain.
Everything.
You don't care about the light tables. You can deploy your whole army behind the piece of castle that you brought.
Dude, exactly right. Bringing the Battle Sanctum in a teams event just means you have so much more agency when you have those different density terrains. You just insulate yourself.
You talk
This
about
is just
X factors, from we were talking about the previous discussion in the last segment. The Battle Sanctum shores up a couple of those for you. It's one less thing you have to worry about, and I'm a big fan of that. Big fan of things where reducing what I need to process every round, especially when you're around 5 or whatever. You're shot. You're playing for this. You're prone to every time you have to make a decision, you open yourself up to make a mistake. And then this is you've already got your brain wired for success.
Spot on. Well, this Sisters list is just like the 2 of everything good list, right, Dustin?
I'm a little surprised to not see 2 Rhinos in here with the 2 Dominion squads. Because I feel like having the extra Rhino, so 2 of them are kind of moving around with the scout move. I think that's a little surprising. But as you're saying, I love this.
In the singles event, they probably have that, but the Battle Sanctum is taking up the Rhino points in this.
It's true. Yeah, almost exactly, actually.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have a Eldari list. It's a Harlequins and a Siriani, of course. Soaring Spite Patrol, Custom Craftwood, Expert Crafter, Hunter of Ancient Relics. For the other one, he's got a Troop Master, 3-5 troop, 2 Star Weavers, a Farseer Skyrunner in the next attachment, a Warlock Skyrunner, 2-5 Dire Avengers, 5 Striking Scorpions, 2-5 Shining Spears, 3x3 Dark Reapers, and 2 Falcons.
Whoa,
Interesting to see the Falcons. Yeah.
Whoa, what? There are Falcons?
I don't know if you know this, but a Falcon is also a troop transport.
It is.
Well, yeah.
6-man.
Yeah.
2 units of 5, 2 units of 5 Dire Avengers can start in there, scoot around. This is another thing where I said, a lot of the time when you take in the units of troop and you've got a melee weapon and a shooting weapon on it, you don't want to throw that thing out onto an objective just to get blown up and destroyed, yeah? A Falcon with, like, cheapish Dire Avengers just chucking out into objective, it's a good alternative.
It's got a lot of shots, too. So the Falcon has mini guns on it, which are all in this world we live in right now, I think they're quality weaponry.
Yeah, exactly right. So I'm actually like this.
The volume of fire and the strength of the weapons. That's why I don't mean that they're overly great, except for the fact they've got a lot of shots, decent strength, and it's on a movable, survivable platform.
Exactly right. Next up, Deathwatch Battalion, Captain, Lieutenant Techie, 2 Proteus kill teams, a Spectrus kill team, 3 Redemptors, 3 Volkite Contemptors. This is cut and dry Alpha Strike. You're gonna smash you down, baby. But not much more to speak to, is it?
Well, let's think of the strategy of this team, though. Is it basically Volkite Contemptors are great, so we have 12 of them.
Yes, you're right. They do. They have three armies that are all leveraging Volkite Contemptors. That's hilarious. And terrifying as well.
Yeah, I guess they like them.
Well, exactly right. So if you chuck up an army that doesn't have a lot of anti-tank and they put up that Death Guard list and they put up the Death Watch list, and you're like, all right, either way you go, you have at least 6 Dreadnoughts to deal with. Pick your poison, brother. Enjoy. Yeah. This is your eating experience.
I like that strategy.
One of them has, one of them has Mortarion, But yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead. I like the strategy of the fact that they've done this to cause list confusion. There's no one can take a safe route in this jungle of terror.
Yeah, exactly right. You're talking about like target priority in game. This is target priority in matchups, like in pairings. So.
Yeah. All right, next up we have Drakari. This is very conventional. We've probably not much to see here. Strife, Blackheart, Custom Coven, Enhanced Organs, Mastery, Torturers. This is interesting. This is the second time I've seen this ever. The first time was last weekend when Short Naden took it. 2 Succubuses, unit of Blood Briars, unit of Witches, 10 Hellions, and then 5 Hellions. And then he's got a medium Court of the Archon with an Archon, unit of Rax, 2 units of Incubi, 5 Raiders, and then lastly Drazar, 2 more units of Rax, 7 Incubi, and a last Raider. The enhanced organs is the ignore cover, ignore heavy and light, and you -1 CP on the reroll to wound strat for Coven's units, e.g. the Rax in this case. Interesting choice. And yeah, probably not much to see there, so we'll probably move on. Because lastly,
let's think of it this way. At least is that this list seems to be weak against a certain orc build.
Yes, exactly.
But the rest of the army, or the rest of the armies in the team, should do all right. So if that's the only thing that this list has to dodge.
Absolutely right.
That's a great place to be.
I'd say this list has like 3 decent to good matchups into the freebooters. Well, lists that won't just get tabled into the freebooters. You could chuck, like, especially that Death Guard list. That Death Guard list, if that gets into freebooters, will actually pants it.
Yep.
Oh, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna bring a Waz bomb over here? I've got 3 flesh mowers and Morty.
Yeah, same.
Bad choice, brother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let me tell you how that story ends.
All right. Last up, we have it. Admech Mars Brigade Veteran Cohort. Okay. Two marshals and a manipulus. 2 times 20 rangers, 5 vanguard. And then 5 rangers. 2 times 5 vanguard. 2 times 5 infiltrators, 10 rust stalkers, 3 single ballistari, 1 Onaga Doom Crawler, 2 Scorpius disintegrators, and a single Doom Crawler.
This is we've seen this before. This list before. This may be something that AdMech players are pivoting towards. So I really expect it going into not just this team event, but we saw this similar configuration in a big singles event last week as well.
Well, so when I don't know about how people are seeing out there, but I've started considering stuff like Calidus Assassins and things of that ilk to try and bottom out AdMech CP early, so that in turn 3, if I have anything left, at least I can stop it getting doubled and triple dunked on, and then they take a brigade and you're like, well, why did I bother, why did I bother with any of that effort? Because they're just going to go the distance, and every single one of their little units can just do so much more than you think it can all the time. It's really powerful.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is the defending champs. So they've got Death Guard, T-Suns, Grey Knights, Sisters, a mixed Eldari, Deathwatch, Drukhari, and Admech. It's a fearsome lineup.
This is a bit of I guess a hurricane of list of power is really what this is. But it's all the great stuff. I mean, I think you could there's the bad matchups that a couple of these lists have. I think they've sufficiently insulated them with some of the choices that they made here. Like I mentioned, like how few lists of them are going to have actually Mortarion. I think they've gone around the other side of it. They're like, you know what, we are going to take Mortarion in this stuff, and then throw in a Death Watch list, which we know has stratagems that can pivot to many different things, but it was also a great excuse for them to get in 3 more Volkite contenders.
Yeah, exactly right. To go with the 2 in the T-Suns and the 3 in the Death Guard. Now, what I love here is that if I thought about the best armies in the game right now, Orcs is the only one that's missing from this lineup. So you've got Drukhari, you got Admech, you got Grey Knights, you have T-Suns, you have Sisters.
What do they have in place of an Orc list right now? They've got the Death Watch.
They've got the Death Watch, exactly. And they've got the double down with the mixed Eldari. So that if you do have a plan to crush their Drukhari, well, guess what? We have still a thing that's going to do the same thing, as them. In addition to that, their no line of sight shooting list, they've got 2 of them, which is nice. They've got the mixed Eldari, and of course they have the Death Guard with the PBCs. And of course they have they have cheeky at no line of sight in the AdMech as well. So they've got 3 lists that have just little pinch hitting no line of sight elements that I quite like as well. So that means that they're very comfortable in the dense tables.
I think there's some courage in taking this list. I can tell you that if I was talking with my team, like, you know what, I'm thinking about taking some Falcons.
Yeah, maybe like slap the Falcon out of their hand.
Like, well, you're not good.
On to our next team.
Courage and trust. Courage and trust.
That's what they would say. That's what they would think. But you have to think. But look at the science that went into this. Those lists were not created in vacuums from each other. I believe that those lists were created very much with the idea of synergy between all of them, and that's commendable. And it looks like a great outcome.
Like if I look at that, there's only 3 lists here that I think haven't been tailored for the teams, and they pretty much just go into your GK's player, take your best GK's list, their Drukhari player, take your best Drukhari player, and the adding player, take your best AdMech list, and then everything else is just like beautifully fitting and wrapping around the team environment. Jumping down to our next team, this is BP0 or BPO. I don't know which it is. We're going to hit that up on screen. Yeah, beautiful. Here we go. Starting off
Nick,
with
we may be sleeveless for New Year's. We'll do that on the...
For sure.
It's our formal wear.
Dark Angels, Vanguard, and Outrider. So you can assume what you're going to see here. Azrael, a Blade Guard Ancient. 2 units of 2 Deathwing Command. 2 times 10 Deathwing Terminators. A single Talamaster, a Ravewing Apothecary. 3 single attack bikes, which I'm a big fan of. 1 unit of bikes, and 1 land speeder. So what's interesting to note here is that unit of bikes is OBSEC. And so are all the Terminators. So this is a good brick list, right? Just good. Put it up. It's going to get points versus anybody.
And attack bikes can be so annoying.
Yeah.
You don't want to shoot because you don't want to shoot at them. Like, how many wounds you got? Oh, and you got to save. You might roll your save.
They're Raven Wing. They've got a 5-up invuln, and every
Yeah.
turn that you can shoot at them, they'll have a 4-up invuln because they're probably advanced. They're actually really frustrating.
Yep.
So same for the land speeder. If you're shooting at it, chances are it advanced. So it's just going to be taking double the amount of shots that you want. Next up, we have an AdMech build. This one is of I haven't chucked down. It's a Marsh battalion. It's a Mars battalion with a veteran cohort. 2 marshals, manipulus, 19 rangers, 17 rangers, 5 rangers, 5 infiltrators, 5 rust stalkers, 2 ballistari, 10 Taraxi, 3 Onaga dune crawlers, and 2 bombers.
No, the dune crawlers are an interesting choice here, but I'm willing to bet that they may be there to be a little bit of flyer insurance against other lists.
Could very well be. I actually forgot what he had on those because I was in an absolute haze of
I don't know what they're armed
stuff.
with, but
I'm hoping that actually is Onagas. I wasn't supposed to write down Scorpius Disintegrators.
Oh.
No.
Scorpius Disintegrator is also very good.
Both are good choices. I approve of both of those.
Yeah, turns out both good choices. Next up, we have an Orc freebooters list. This is the first of the free, but this isn't. I don't even think this is a conventional freebooters list. It has some different elements. Outrider and a patrol, of course. Beast boss, a unit of 3 Death Copters, 2 units of 2 Scrap Jets, a unit of 2, a unit of 1, a unit of 1 Ruckatrock Squig Buggies, 2 Dakar Jets, a War Boss on bike, unit of Grots, 2 units of Commandos, 2 units of Storm Boys, a Dakar Jet, and a Wazmom. So like this is what 8 buggies. So none of the extras buggy. It's kind of lean on that and is doubling down on the MSU portion. I actually like this a lot better than the one we've been seeing.
And I like the extra Stormboy unit there. And then the flyers, of course.
Can I say it's about time somebody's taken some beast boss on a Squigosaur? Those things are monsters. They are so good.
So good. Yeah. Next up we have a Drakari list. This is very conventional. It's Blackheart, Strife, Dark Techno. I'm probably even going to skip it because it's very, very conventional. In fact, I am going to skip it. The only things of note are a unit of 8 Hellions, and he's actually got is that an 8 unit Hellions and a unit of 3 Chronos, unit of 2 Chronos, and a unit of Scourges. I thought it's cute.
Scourges are okay, I guess, for the ability to come in, from reserves pretty easily, deliver some decent firepower. But the Chronos, we saw them play out in a couple of different tournaments very recently, and they help create some interesting trades for your opponent where they've got to be making these value decisions about whether or not they want to go in there and deal with it. And we've seen them do very well.
Yep, spot on. Just so you know, I did just quickly look up that AdMech build because I really wanted to know. You piqued my interest. What were on those Onagas? It's all Icarus arrays. They're anti-air. So this is the Orc Hunter. This is the Orc Hunter. It will slap down all 4 planes to turn 1 every time. Yeah, good call, mate. Next up, we have the Necrons. First of the Necron list we're talking about, Custom Dynasty, Eternal Conquerors, Relentlessly Expansionist, Catacomb Command Barge, and a Technomancer, a Nightbringer, 2 to 2 Crypto Thralls, 2 to 10 Lich Guard, unit of Scarabs, 8 Tomb Blades, and 3 units of 3 Heavy Destroyers. You heard that right. 3 units of 3 Heavy Destroyers. Wowee.
That's... I'm not even sure what to think about this, because this looks like a list from 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, dude, it actually does, doesn't it? A big unit of Tomb Blades, the Nightbringer, it's got 2 big bricks of Lich Guard. It's got shooting elements in the 3 into 3 Heavy Destroyers, which I can tell you right now, absolutely cane, depending on what your tool to pick. And both of their guns are really good in this current meta. Are you not playing freebooters? Well, you're still strength 7, with a bunch of shots into their toughness 6. Oh, and you took the Gorse. Well, then you're just super strength with rerolls into their, and the 3d3 damage. I like them a lot. The Heavy Destroyers. I think they're really good.
Yeah,
a little bit too expensive.
It just seems like it's just a throwback variant. It's pretty cool.
This is what I mean about these kind of wonky durability skew lists. That I found it hard to quantify. But anyway, moving on. We've got Death Guard and Demons hybrids. This is a Chaos Soup. So this is breaking Death Guard to do this. Mortarian's Anvil Vanguard and a Slaneshi Outrider. Typhus, 10 Poxwalkers, 2 Volkite Contemptors, 2 3 Death Route, a Tallyman, and 2 Bloat Drones with Flesh Mowers. Turns out, Paul, Spain is where the Flesh Mowers reside. It's the Flesh Mower meta right there.
They know it's up over there.
Yeah, as soon as you enter the Iberian Peninsula, it's just Flesh Mowers.
Typhus is an interesting choice. I took Typhus in a small tournament, like so many points, like so few points. Should not have had Typhus in that tournament, but
Exactly.
I don't know if how he does in the larger games. This is going to be
Yeah.
interesting to watch this one.
Well, the rest of the list is 2 PBCs to round out that detachment, and then the next one starts off with Bellicor and 3 units of 5 Furies.
Okay, this list is
this is sick. I like this a lot.
yeah, this is like a fun list.
Yeah, well, this is similar to the one we just talked about. So
Yeah.
it's got the big beta in Morty versus Bellicor. It's got the Flesh Bowl. It's got the 2 PBCs as well. It's got the Volkart Contemptors. It's just packing the Death Shroud instead of the extra Contemptor and one of the other things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually like this list a lot as well. It's a bit more jank in it. Of course, Bellicor brings a whole slew of special rules and abilities. But you give up, of course, the -1 toughness one, which makes me
psychic
think
powers all over the place. There's options here.
Makes me think this is much more of a defensive build. This is like doubling down defensively, right? Because Bellicor's just going to play like as your linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how I'm seeing it. I could be wrong.
You're probably right. Yep.
Next up, we have Thousand Suns, Cult of Duplicity Battalion, Cult of Magic Patrol, Aramin, Infernal Master, 3 into 5 rubrics, and you've got 10 Scarab Occult Terminators, 5 spawn, and then a single spawn, and then next in the patrol has an Exalted Sork, 2 into 5 rubrics, and 2 Volkite Contemptors. Once again, what do you guys think?
I heard Spain likes Contemptors and Flesh Mowers, man.
Contemptors, Flesh Mowers, Spawn, Martarion. The Spain meta is where it's at.
It's the place to be. It's the place to be, mate.
Or the place not to be, because that is strong. That is the strongest stuff out there right now. I don't know why more folks aren't taking it.
So realistically, that Death Guard build, and the one we saw in the other list as well, I wouldn't expect to see that at a singles event. But this T-Suns list and the last T-Suns list, I wouldn't be surprised to see that at a singles. This T-Suns list is just really well-rounded into everything. It's just really consistently good. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hit this last list, and we'll do a little bit of analysis. Then we have a segment that we do at the end of every show. We got to jump to that.
Beautiful. We got a Sisters Battalion. A battalion. This one is Argent Shroud. It's got Celestine, Palatine. 6 units of 5 Sisters, all with a multi-melter. 5 Sacrosanct, a Dogmata, Repentia Superior, 2 into 9 Repentia, 2 into 5 Dominions, 5 Seraphim, a single Exorcist, 2 into 5 Retributors, and 2 Rhinos. I actually am a huge fan. I like this list a lot for a Argent Shroud build. I think, and into teams, I think this is really good.
We've mentioned Rhinos a lot more frequently than we have in previous shows, and I think the Rhinos actually really have a place in the game right now. Whether it be moving Zerkers up the field in Rhinos, moving some great, I wouldn't say Grey Knights because they can jump or whatever, but the Thousand Suns up in the Adeptus Sororitas, moving up in Rhinos, really worth checking out. If you previously forgotten,
it helps dull the alpha strikes that a lot of the lists have too. Because if you're coming against a bunch of DACA jets, they're wounding you on 5s now too. You're protecting a lot of your assets. That's 90 point unit or whatever it ends up being. I can't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, 85. Anyway, that 80 to 90 point unit.
It's one sanctum worth of points.
One sanctum worth of points. It gives you so much value, and in the end, it can sit in an objective too, in the middle of the table too, because even when it's especially when it's empty, they don't want to shoot that. But it's not an objective.
Nobody feels good about shooting it. It's the same attack bike. It's worse. It's twice as bad as the feeling of shooting in an attack bike.
Exactly right. But yeah, so just running down this team, we've got a very defensive Dark Angels build, got a very just all-rounded good, anti-air AdMech build. We've got the Freebooters, kind of a middle of the road, not all in on the buggies, but kind of a bit more MSU. Got a straight up and down Drakari build, like you'd see anywhere. An interesting kind of bricky Necron build with like big durable bricks and then large units of heavy destroyers. A kind of double down on the mech side of things, Death Guard and Demons build, and all-comers T-Suns build, and a kind of an all-comers anti-tank Sisters build. This is another pretty interesting set of lineups. As for the top factions represented here, they're all kind of here. We've got AdMech, we've got Orcs, we've got Drakari, we've got Sisters, we've got T-Suns. Like, what is actually missing apart from Grey Knights? Everything else is here again.
Yeah, so then what do they take? What do you think replaced their Grey Knight in this situation?
Well, if I had to say there was a weak link, of course it was going to be, of these lists in representation, the Necron build is a Necron list and faction is one of the weaker ones at the moment. Doesn't mean it's not good. In fact, I think that is a phenomenal build to take.
Well, their build, let's look at the build.
It's a great build. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
but if it was to swap one out, that would be where it is, obviously.
See, I look at armies like in a team event. low model count armies like Grey Knights or Custodes or whatever, if people feel like they absolutely need one, they can figure out a way to make it happen. So when those things aren't in a list like this, and we know that they've got some of these traits that do really pretty well in these team tournaments, it's interesting to me to maybe try to dissect what they chose to go, what their
Well,
path, where they said, I want this instead of that.
Well, see, one of the bits I love about team events is that you'll have like somebody, probably the guy in this Necron build, who's like a faction specialist, ride or die Necrons, and people will see this lineup and be like, well, Necrons is obviously the weak link, and that's like your like best player because that's the guy who's got like 1,000 reps with that list, and everyone else is just jumping on a good team skew.
Every
so
strat.
people think that's the weak link, and you just like you put up somebody to crush it, and that guy crushes you, and that's the best. That's the best.
It's funny that you say that too, because that's actually a really good strategy with a lot of teams, and a lot of teams do it too, including teams that I've been on. When GSC, once they dropped off, I was always considered the worst player on the team.
Yeah.
Oh man, this GSC, I'll crush that. Put me against that, I'll get 20 points. Nah, man, get out of here. But you'll see all these 8-player teams. They'll always take one rogue, and that rogue is often they're a dark horse. Like they will surprise you.
Well, it's the guy on the gun player on the underpowered faction.
Exactly.
And it's exactly how it goes. I love it. Flipping matchups, the expectation, like your team put it down as a green. Well, guess what, son? We had it down as a green as well. And one of us is going to be wrong.
One of us is wrong.
So what you're referring to is that you're planning out, we need to win XYZ number of games. We feel like we're going to get these. And so this is just in the pocket. We need, because you can't have a lot of communication between your teammates while the games are going. That's actually like federated or whatever. You can't. There's just certain things you can and can't say. So you have to communicate in your mind. Like, okay, I know I've got to win this one because the team knows I have to win this one, or I can lose this one and it's all right as long as I get 5 points or whatever.
Exactly. And your team sought out that matchup, wanted that matchup on the premise of your green being correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so therefore, as soon as you flip it, I mean, that could be a snowball effect. Like someone else already took a red down there to get you that green, and that guy actually gets dumpstered. So all of a sudden, you've lost 2 games to get you that game, and that's where that all the house of cards just all falls down. It's so much fun, guys. I love it.
Yep. Thanks for coming and signing off in the chat. Thursday show. I say it's the best show.
It's the best show.
That's right. Best show.
Well,
there's a show.
Thank you. So let's bring up the Fuego Rapido. The Fuego Rapido is a segment where we close out the show where we run down a series of rapid fire topics. We give ourselves 2 minutes to expound upon them. And when the timer clock runs out, the topic is over and we move on to the next one. As soon as it starts counting down, we'll fire off the topics here. Dune. What's the rating out of 10? Adam, I don't know. No spoilers here. Actually, no spoilers.
No spoilers.
But we can talk about the book or the movie. What's your rating?
Okay. For the book, I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm watching it this weekend with my girlfriend. But out of 10 for the book, I give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. When I read that as an early teen, it was groundbreaking for me. Absolutely phenomenal novel.
Got some sci-fi, got some space marines.
Yes.
There's
yes.
There's things.
Well, I already knew about 40k, so it was kind of like reading about the origins of 40k. Get the cart before the horse and be like, that's where they got that from, and that's where they got that from. This is so cool. The origin story of the mythos. It's fantastic.
Dustin, what do you think? Have you seen the movie?
I have seen the movie. So I've read the book, seen the movie, played the game. So book, I'd give it 8 out of 10. Movie, 9 out of 10. The only reason I don't give it 10 out of 10, I can't spoil it. So when you watch it, you'll know why. And the game, 10 out of 10, just because that thing just started so much in my repertoire of games that I love with the StarCraft.
I never played the game.
Really?
I read the book.
Yeah, I never played the game either.
So
what?
The book? The book is good. I'll just say that the book. I've only read the first.
Careful,
one.
Paul. Careful.
I will say I've enjoyed every single Dune movie or TV show or miniseries, even the one that, like the original one with David Lynch that that people give a lot of hate towards. I've enjoyed every single one of them. Saw this movie this past weekend, and I liked it. I enjoyed where they kind of departed or fleshed out things from other things or whatever. But I will say, with again, no spoilers, I loved the music. The music and the scoring of
Cool.
this film is
Yes.
epic. If it doesn't take the Oscar, something's wrong. That's it.
And the visuals.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. Will Octarius change the landscape? So the Octarius campaign book. So this campaign book has given like a new lease on life to some factions that have older codexes. Will Octarius alter what people see at tournaments?
Go ahead, Adam.
Who's starting? Nah, you can start with this one.
You want me to start with this one?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's your faction.
Are you kidding me? I've been practicing and playing with this new stuff that Tyranids got, and it is devastating. They went like we got no defensive buffs, but you're going to start seeing these Alpha Strike Tyranid lists that if you don't go first against it or don't have a way to survive against it, you will die. So you need to be ready
like
for
a red
this.
hot comet or cannonball fired out. You don't need to defense.
It's true. Like you need to be ready for these Tyranid list, guys. I'm telling you right now. This is your fair warning. Be ready for these Tyranid lists.
What's the standout for you? What do you think is propelling that?
Well, the Chapter Master rerolls is definitely going to be doing a big difference in that, and all of these strats, almost every single one of them is going to have play. The exploding sixes, like just natural sixes. Some of the make anything obsec or double obsec. It's a full review. I don't have enough time to go through all that. I'm telling you that the aggressiveness of the Tyranids now is going to be so devastating, and they have some defensive buffs that were already built into the codex that you're going to start seeing come into, because like Maliceptors now you're going to see in a lot of lists, and they have defensive buffs built into them, so they're not going to be as hard to shift, which is something I've noticed too.
I love it. It's going to be crazy. Like, I can't even tell you the strategy. It's just all good.
I want to. I can't.
Adam, what do you think? This is why I refuse to go first, because I didn't want to take the time off Dustin. I think absolutely the Tyranids list are the ones that only ones that are actually going to make a significant splash. Like what Tyranids got will change them from being a C or B tier to probably a middle to lower A tier, almost definitely, possibly even
lower
more.
A.
Deathwatch got a side grade essentially, which I think will be good later. It's not good now. And
you got to tune into our podcast. Just tune into the podcast and you hear about all the rest of the stuff. So here's a hobby thing: are decals cheating the hobby? Is this a shortcut? Are decals good, bad, indifferent? Do you use them, and do you use them well? Should you use them?
Adam seems confused.
I use them. I love them. I don't cheating.
I knew it.
They're just as hard to.
See it in his face.
He's a decaler.
He's a decaler.
To use. They're not easy mode. Like trying to figure out.
Decalers.
If you mess up a decal, you possibly have just ruined the model. Whereas if you've done if you've stuffed up your freehand, paint over it, whatever. It's a big difference there. And some of the stuff that I use decals on is just stuff I can't physically. I don't have the capacity to paint. Like it's just that's pretty much why I use decals, because I can't do that.
Well, here's actually a trick. If when you get a decal on, and if you feel like, well, one, there's several different things you can use. There's products you can use to help it form into the whatever the shape of whatever you're putting it on, or kind of blend into the paint where it kind of dissolves the backer or whatever on it. But then, I think you're just making the motion. You can actually paint on the decal. Like if once you have it on there, if you're really worried about the texture of it looking different than the rest of your model, you can paint on top of it. And it's a great, almost like coloring book, paint by numbers type situation. You just paint over the part you don't like.
So I take it you're against decals, Dustin?
No. Okay, I'm not against decals. And
I'll have to take a position.
I would like to judge your models. Should you say that? You say such bold a statement. I demand to judge.
Bring it, buddy. I've decaled in the past, and Adam's right. They're actually not easy to put on. So cheating, no. I mean, if you can do it, all the power to you. If you make it look good, I will airbrush my symbols on. So I'll like cut out little
stencils
and do it that way. I feel like I like the aesthetic look of that. Though.
No, with Gene Stealer Cult, with that. Oh, we're out of time, but that actually looks amazing. Yeah, like I've seen that done to good effect. Here's a spicy one. Are flyers in Warhammer 40,000 fun? Go, Adam. We'll go with you.
Okay, so I started playing the game 40k properly in 6th after stopping in 3rd or 4th. And so I've never been across from flyers whilst having no flyers and thought I was going to have a good time. So I don't think they have. I don't think they are fun. I think they can be, but I think in general they're not. Like you got the single Valkyrie in the Guard army. Amazing, hilarious, awesome, beautiful, good for you, champion. Single Storm Raven even in a Grey Knights list, so to speak. One just won an event on the weekend. Cool, awesome, thematic.
Storm
fun.
Raven.
Yeah, yes, a Grey Knight Storm Raven list won a huge major on the weekend. Hilarious, fantastic. Are they fun in general? No. A last edition even, just the triple Doom sites, the Eldar flyers, like the amount of times where I can say a flyer is fun to not fun is like 1 to 10.
Oh, I had a memory pop up for me. It was me with 4 flyers, some sweet Eldar flyers. I had fun.
Well, I played Dark Angels. I played.
If you're using them, sure.
I memed out and played Dark Angels flyers, and the only thing that could beat me was the Liquefire spam Drakari at the time. I didn't. So even that was oppressive. Even though they're not great, they're costed appropriately and they're not amazing. Dustin, what do you think?
Yeah, you got organic flyers, Dustin. What's going on?
Yeah, organic flyers. No, see, I'm not going to include them in this right now. So competitively speaking, no. Flyers are not fun. And I'll tell you exactly the reason why is because they encourage and emphasize alpha strikes.
True. Yeah.
Hardcore. Like if you're taking flyers, you're alpha striking. You're not hoping to go second with flyers.
Yeah.
Ever.
Well, but even if you do, they mitigate the risk because they can start so far back from the center line. You can outrange a lot of the issues.
Yeah. But
we're out of time on that one. That's going to be something that I think that we can talk about on future episodes because playing with all figures are fun. So are lower point games potentially the way of the future? Have we reached some threshold where 2,000 point games might not be giving us the most competitive games anymore?
Dustin, you want to take it?
Sure, I'll take this one right now. I think we are actually at a point right now where 2,000 point games might be a little too much. I've seen a lot of games that don't go the distance. Now, I'm gonna say this right now that reducing the points doesn't change that. It's usually players that just when you think, oh, I got so much time, it'll be fine, even when you're clocked. But that's beside the point. I think reducing the points in competitive play might actually mitigate some of the problems we're seeing in competitive play. Because you're not going to be able to focus so much on some alpha strikes. Some of those models, like flyers, for example, you can't afford to have 4 flyers in a 1,500 point list if you want to score points. Right.
Well, we talk about this on the FTN show this week, coming out later on this week, is that once you drop to a certain point threshold, you actually reduce the amount of detachments that are available to you, the amount of CP that are available to you. And I mean this, in our, like, we're talking about competitive match play tournaments, and the standard right now is 2,000 points. Would it benefit us to have more competitive, balanced games at a lower point?
So one of the things I'll point out is that the one of the reasons why Admech and Drakari are so overwhelming is that they get to have redundancy and no one else does. They get to have double, not only just single level redundancy, double, triple redundancy. Hey, I've got 3 units of Incubi, but I've also got 3 killer characters that are essentially other units of Incubi. On top of that, I got Hellions, and I got all these boats, and I got blah, 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 and Bloodbrides and Trueborn, and they got secondary and like tertiary levels of redundancy, like which Marines, Custodies, Death Guard, T-Suns, and just no one else gets to have. Cutting down the points might bring some equilibrium to that. So I'm actually not against it. I think 1,500 sounds pretty amicable.
Something to think about. Let's see what people think about that topic, because we are out of time and we can't discuss it anymore legally by the rules.
By the rules.
Time police are here.
Well, gentlemen, we are at the end of the show. I know we only talked about one event, but it's a whopper of an event.
It was worth the time. It was worth the grind. That's because that's a super major of such longevity and scope and story that we love being able to do that stuff.
Well, there's a lot to digest there too, with 680 players. With
to do it justice, right?
Yeah,
to do it justice.
So happy to talk about it. And look, let us know if you got events coming up over the weekend. Hit us up on social media. Many of you have, or not this weekend, but coming up in future weekends. You're planning on, you're going somewhere. Let us know what events you're going to. Well, if we can cover them, we will.
I don't want to say anything about our last week, Paul, but the Scott LaFontaine, who sent in his list last week for us to review, even though he wasn't one of the top players in attendance, we said, all right, mate, we'll talk about your list. The bloke with mixed demons made the top 8. The crazy man. Well done to him. It's literally because us on the Thursday show, we look down upon high and we bestow the powers upon Scott.
That's true.
You just got through, man. Just got
if you want to get top 8, you just submit list, guys.
We might talk about it. You might get top 8. That's you know.
Uh,
But think about that. Let's talk about. I mean, yes, I know we don't look back at the tournaments too often, but the skill of the players really shines. Even in the
mm,
situation like there's been a whole lot of focus on competitive play. Like, oh, you're going to see this, you're going to see that, or you're going to see whatever. But you still see a lot of this other stuff, and there are ways to hang in there and compete and do well. And that's just
mm,
one of the many examples we see. So anyway, that's if you do want us to talk about your tournaments coming up, or you're running a big event coming up, and you don't feel like it's on our radar, hit us up on social media, let us know about it, and we'll try to work it into the show if we possibly can. Thanks a lot for listening, Adam, Dustin. Thanks for coming and talking about this stuff with us. Everybody in the chat, live in the chat, really appreciate those comments. It helps keeps things interesting and moving for us. Do not forget to like, share, or subscribe. Leave us some
mm.
5-star reviews. Leave some comments in the YouTube. Do the doodly doos in the Facebook. Yeah, and after that, we'll see y'all next week.
So yeah.
See you then.
At Frontline Gaming, we make the best tabletop gaming mats in the universe. Our mats are durable, rollable, foldable, wipeable, and storable. Oh, and they look damn great too. Join the thousands of tournament regulars and garage gamers who use our mats to bring their gaming surfaces to life. To ensure quality, Frontline Gaming mats are custom made one at a time, printed with high quality ink. Our immersive designs stay crisp and are available in a wide range of styles and sizes. So whether you're playing a war game or a skirmish game, whether you're fighting over an alien tundra, fantastical forest, or real-world setting, there's a great-looking battlefield for you. Our gaming mats are printed on extremely durable neoprene backing, so they won't slide around the table, and they're thick enough to stay flat, protecting what's underneath and allowing for slight uneven surfaces. We know from experience that an easily portable gaming surface is just better. Every mat comes with a sturdy nylon zip-up bag for storage and transportation. Whether your next battle is in your home or at the local game store, you'll be able to unroll your FLG mat and get gaming right away. Our products are all made and tested by passionate gamers at Frontline Gaming HQ right here in the USA. It's time to take your battlefield to a new level. Frontline Gaming, champions of tabletop.